Bachcho, your cameras should be on. Ayan, if your camera is not on, you will be removed from the class. But if your camera is not on, you will be removed from the class. Beta, it's the instruction of administration that your cameras should be on. If your camera is off, you will be removed from the class. Beta Ayan, your cameras should be on. This is instruction from admin. Miss Tehzeeb, मैं
सर।
बच्चों के माइक्स ऑफ कर दूं या ऑन रहने दूं?
सर ऑन रहने दें, फिर नीड बेस पे देख लेंगे।
ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है। चले मैं ग्रुप में क्विकली लिंक भेज देता हूँ। अयान, योर कैमरा शुड बी ऑन बेटा। Ma'am, we are starting in 2 to 3 minutes. Let the students join.
जी सर।
मैंने लिंक दोबारा कर दिया सेंड। मैं ग्रुप में भी ये मैसेज कर देता हूँ, योर कैमरा शुड बी ऑन। Yavar, are you able to hear me? Yavar, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Yavar. Yavar, according to the protocols of Zoom meeting, your cameras should be on. Abdullah Subhan, students' cameras should be on, beta. Musa, in the last class, we were doing upthrust, and basically we are done with upthrust, hey? Musa, in the last class, we were doing which topic?
सर
Upthrust.
आपका से किया था जी।
And now, continue that. So let me share the screen and then we are starting. Musa, if I make you co-host, will you be able to enter the students?
जी सर हो जाएगा।
सर आई एम डूइंग दैट, डोंट
Okay,
वरी।
thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So Musa, can you tell me what is equation for upthrust? Quickly, Musa.
सर डेंसिटी टाइम्स जी टाइम्स एरिया टाइम्स लेंथ।
Acha, if you write this same equation in your exam, you will lose marks. Why?
Recording in progress.
Musa, if you write same equation that you have given, obviously this is the equation, but in the exam you lose marks. Why? Because
इमर्स ऑब्जेक्ट वाली बात।
no, because you are not specific. When you said density,
हम्म,
you have not given density of what object. For example, density of liquid or density of object, you said density into G into area into length. So you are not specific. So when you write an equation, you have to be specific. What will be the right way of writing that, Musa?
डेंसिटी ऑफ लिक्विड टाइम्स जी।
Density of liquid times G times volume immersion. ठीक है? अच्छा, Lalina beta, in the last class we were doing upthrust, okay? And Lalina beta, can you tell what is Archimedes' principle?
It's basically when an object is like
immersed in fluid, the weight of the fluid displaced during the immersion will be like will be the
Become
upthrust.
upthrust. Yes. Will become upthrust on the object. Okay. You have given correct answer. Now we'll start from equations for upthrust. Okay, Musa? Equations for upthrust. Musa, first equation that we did. Upthrust is equal to, we will write word equations. Lalina beta, we will write word equation. The first equation was density of liquid. Musa, what was your mistake for the first time? You ignored the liquid. You just said the density. Beta, when you are writing answers in your exam, you have to be specific. For example, if you say density and there are multiple objects, you have to tell density of which object. Okay? So density of the liquid, then it will be multiplied with G, and then it will be multiplied with area of cross section. And then Musa, it's volume, area of cross section, and into length of object or immersed length. Which one will be correct?
Immersed length.
It will be into immersed length. Lalina beta, it will be into immersed length. Now you know that the area of the object into immersed length can be written as, if you multiply area of the object into immersed length, Aliza beta, can you tell what it will become? Aliza Durani. Beta, upthrust is, for example, density of liquid into G. Aliza beta, if we multiply area of cross section with immersed length, what it will become?
Volume
It
of
will become,
immersed length.
it will become volume of what?
Volume of the जो जितना liquid immerse हुआ
जितना ऑब्जेक्ट इमर्स हुआ,
object immerse हुआ.
हाँ, जो ऑब्जेक्ट इमर्स हुआ है ये उसका वॉल्यूम होगा. सो इमर्स्ड वॉल्यूम. So it will become immersed volume. Musa, can you tell what is the relation between immersed volume and displaced volume?
And they're the same.
Immersed volume and displaced volume are same. Now, when we use displaced volume and multiply that with the density of liquid, it gives us the volume, the mass of liquid that was displaced. So another equation for upthrust can be, we can directly write it is dash of liquid which was dash. Sayyid Yawar, you have to fill in these blanks. Sayyid Yawar, you have to fill in these blanks, beta. Dayan, please fill these blanks. Dayan, ये blanks fill करो quickly. Abdur Rahman, blanks fill करो. Abdur Rahman Khan. Musa, what we should write in the blanks?
So volume of liquid which was displaced.
Okay, upthrust is not beta, not volume. It is, Lalina beta, what it is?
Mass.
Not mass. It is? Haan, Lalina beta, what it is? Dash of liquid which was dash. Beta, weight. Weight of the liquid which was displaced during immersion. So the weight of liquid which was displaced during immersion will become the upthrust. Musa, out of these three equations, which one is called Archimedes' principle? Musa, quickly.
Sorry, the last one.
The last one. The third equation is called Archimedes' principle. Lalina beta, can you give a statement of Archimedes' principle? Quickly, beta. It states that the upthrust on an object is equal to the weight of the liquid that was displaced during the process of immersion. We are done with that. Musa, आपका upthrust से related कोई question है? You want to ask something, anything related to upthrust? Anything related
Nice.
to upthrust you want to ask? No? Okay, then we should move on. Now make a heading. Forces on an object moving in a fluid. Acha, Lalina beta, when we say fluid, we refer to liquids and gases. When we say fluid, we refer to, Musa, liquids and gases. Mustafa Anis, when we say fluids, we refer to liquids and gases. So basically, if an object is moving in a fluid, then how many forces are there on the object? So you should write, there are three forces. There are three forces on an object moving in a fluid. There are three forces on an object moving in a fluid. Musa, kitni forces हैं? How many forces are there?
Three
Three
forces.
forces. हैं? Can you tell some of them? Like this is concept continued from O level. So can you name some of them?
So weight,
Weight,
drag.
okay. Drag force or viscous drag. That is basically a
Yeah.
resistive force of fluid. Okay. Viscous drag, and the third one is upthrust. Third one is upthrust. So we have three forces. First one is weight. Musa, what do you think? Weight is a constant force or a variable force?
A variable force.
Weight is a variable force. Why? Why is weight variable? Lalina Mita, what do you think? Weight is a constant force or a variable force?
It's constant because it doesn't change.
Musa, it's constant. On small distances, weight is constant. So weight of an object, कोई बात नहीं Musa, it's all right, कुछ नहीं होता. हम कोई टेस्ट या एग्जाम नहीं कर रहे, कुछ नहीं होता, easy हो जाओ. अच्छा, and no one is going to judge you. अच्छा, weight is constant. Weight is constant. Beta, weight remains constant when the object is moving in a fluid. Weight will only change if the gravity is changing or the object is moving large distances, large heights, for example, thousands of kilometers. In a liquid, when the distance is in centimeters or meters, the weight will not change. So, Musa, weight is the first force that is constant. And Musa, what will be the equation for weight? It's W is equal to
mg.
mg. Acha bacho, if I asked a question and you are not answering that question, then you will be removed from the meeting. So if I'm asking a question from a student and you're not answering, if you have any problem, you should message me in the group. You can say, or you can make a private message saying that I have this problem, I cannot answer. Otherwise, if I ask a question and you are not going to answer that, then you will be removed from the class. Any student who is not answering the question will be removed. Acha, W is equal to mg. Number 2. Second force is, Aliza beta, you have to tell what is the name of the second force. Aliza beta, quickly. Aliza beta, name of the second force.
Sir, I don't know.
Musa, name of the second force.
So viscous drag.
Viscous drag. बेटा अलीजा, जब कोई ऑब्जेक्ट मूव करता है ना लिक्विड में, when something is moving in a liquid, the weight is pushing the object downwards. The weight is pushing the object downwards. And the second force is viscous drag. Viscous drag is basically the friction offered by a fluid. When something moves in a fluid, then the fluid will apply a frictional force, a resistive force that is called viscous drag. So the second force is viscous drag, or you can also call that fluid friction. Fluid friction is for your own understanding. In the exam, you will write it as viscous drag. Viscous drag is not a constant force, it's a variable force. It depends on the speed of the object. It depends on multiple factors. So the factors are viscosity or friction of the fluid, how much viscous the fluid is. Beta, viscosity means, for example, if you drop something in water and honey, do you think they will provide same friction or different friction? Lalina beta, what do you think? If we drop something in honey and water, the level of friction will be same or different?
It will be different because the densities are different.
Instead of densities, you should say viscosities. The better term is viscosity. So the capability of a liquid to provide frictional force is called its viscosity. So viscous drag or fluid friction is basically the resistive force that the fluid will provide. This force depends on three factors: viscosity of the fluid, shape of the object, basically the area of the object in contact with the fluid, and the third factor is speed of the object. For us, the speed of the object is important. Why? Because the viscosity of the liquid during the motion will not change. Basically, when the object is moving, Musa, what do you think? When the object is moving in a fluid, during the motion, the viscosity of the fluid will change, or it will generally remain constant. What do you think?
Remain constant.
So out of the three factors were shape of the object, viscosity of the fluid, and the speed of the object. Which of the three factors is going to change and which ones will be constant? What do you think?
Speed of the object will change.
Speed will change, nature of fluid, and the shape and size of the object will generally remain constant. Lalina beta, shape and size of the object will not change. Nature of fluid will not change. What will change is basically the speed of the object. So viscous drag is a variable force. Viscous drag is a variable force that depends on the speed of the object. And one important rule about viscous drag is that it always acts against the motion. It always acts opposite to the motion. Like all other resistive forces, it will act opposite to the motion. For example, if the object is moving downwards, then viscous drag is upwards. If the object is moving upwards, then viscous drag is downwards. Musa, is it possible for an object in a fluid to move upwards? Is it possible or not possible?
It's possible.
Give a real life example.
So rockets.
रॉकेट्स फ्लूइड्स में कब मूव करते? अच्छा, वो एयर में, ठीक है. वाटर में कोई एग्जांपल दो. एनी एग्जांपल इन वाटर in which the object is moving upwards. A plastic ball. For example, if you immerse a plastic ball in water, because of its low density, it will move upwards. So, Aliza beta, if the object is moving downwards, then viscous drag is upwards. If the object is moving upwards, then viscous drag is downwards. Beta, is that clear? Aliza beta?
जी सर.
So what is the rule? The viscous drag is always opposite to the motion. In whichever direction the object is moving, viscous drag will be opposite to that. Third force which we have to consider is, Hanji, any student can tell which one is the third force. The third force is our topic right now. Which force is the third force? Hanji, anyone?
Upthrust.
Upthrust. The third force is upthrust. Upthrust will only change if the size of the object, you can say that volume of the object, if the volume of the object or the density of the liquid is changing. Lalina beta, is it possible that an object is immersed in a liquid and it is moving in the liquid and its size may change? So a change of size is possible or not possible? For an object that is moving in a fluid, उसका size change हो सकता है? Is there any possibility कि size change हो जाए? Musa, what do you say? जो ऑब्जेक्ट लिक्विड में मूव कर रहा है उसका साइज चेंज होना इज पॉसिबल और नॉट पॉसिबल?
So
Okay,
si-
okay, it will change. Lalina beta, for example, if you have a balloon, for example, and it is moving in water, so as it goes down, the pressure on the balloon will increase. Same will apply to submarines and other objects. As you go down in water, the pressure of the water will increase and a squeezing can take place. Musa, if something is brought to a depth in the water, it's moving downwards, then there is a possibility that due to liquid pressure, the size may decrease, the volume may decrease. Musa, जब हम डेप्थ पे जाते हैं ना तो प्रेशर इंक्रीज करता है. कॉमन सेंस यूज करो. जब प्रेशर इंक्रीज करेगा, अगर ऑब्जेक्ट फ्लेक्सिबल होगा तो उसका वॉल्यूम सेम रहेगा या इट विल डिक्रीज?
Decrease.
It will decrease. Lalina beta, if something is moving towards depth, so as you move towards depth, then the pressure will increase. Due to that increase of pressure, the volume may decrease. And upthrust is basically first thing. It is always horizontal, vertical, upwards, downwards. Aliza beta, what should we write? Aliza Durrani. It is always downwards, upwards, towards right, towards left. Take one option. Upthrust is always.
Downwards.
Upthrust is always upwards. Upthrust is always upwards. अलीजा बेटा, अब एक बार ना हम डिस्कशन करते हैं डायरेक्शंस की. व्हाट कैन बी डायरेक्शन ऑफ वेट? डायरेक्शन ऑफ वेट क्या हो सकती है?
Downwards.
डाउनवर्ड्स या ऑलवेज डाउनवर्ड्स?
Always downwards.
Always downwards. When you say downwards, so it means that it can be downwards or upwards. When you say always downwards, it means it's always downwards. Viscous drag की क्या डायरेक्शन हो सकती है? What are the possibilities? अलीजा बेटा.
Upwards and downwards.
Viscous drag can be upwards or downwards depending on what?
On the viscosity.
Depending on the direction of motion. Depending on the direction of motion. Lalina beta, if something is moving downwards, its upthrust will be upwards. If something is moving upwards, its viscous drag will be downwards. So viscous drag is opposite to the motion. Musa, upthrust has a constant direction or its direction can change?
Constant direction.
Constant direction. And that is?
Upwards.
That is always upwards. In the fluid, we have three forces: weight, viscous drag, and upthrust. Upthrust is always upwards, weight is always downwards, viscous drag has no constant direction, it will act opposite to the motion. And upthrust is a constant force generally. However, it may change with the change of volume of the object or with a change of density of liquid. So it is always upwards. And one thing, upthrust is generally constant. Upthrust is generally constant. However, it may change. It may change if dash or dash changes. These dash and dash are if volume of the object, changes or density of fluid changes. So, Aliza beta, upthrust will change. What are the two situations in which upthrust will change? Quickly.
If volume of the object or density of the fluid changes.
If the density of the fluid changes or the volume of the object changes, then the upthrust will change. Musa, quick answer. What will happen to the upthrust if the density of the object is changed without changing the volume of the object? If we change density of the object, then will upthrust change or it will not? Density of the
Will not
object.
change.
It will not change. Very good. Beta, if you have a steel ball and wooden ball of same volume in the given liquid, upthrust will be same. Let me repeat that. Upthrust depends on the density of fluid, but not on the density of the object. For example, if you have a plastic ball, steel ball, and wooden ball of same volume, then they will experience same upthrust in the same liquid. ठीक? तो these are the three forces. अब हम आगे move करते हैं. You should write a question. अच्छा, one thing. In your O level, you ignored upthrust. You never took upthrust. O level में आपने कभी मूसा upthrust लिया था? No. The answer is no. अच्छा, when you have to ignore upthrust, generally in gases, the density of gas is negligible. When the density of gas is negligible in comparison to the density of solids, we ignore upthrust in gases. For example, in the air, upthrust is generally ignored. The reason being the density of air is too negligible that it will not cause enough upthrust. You should write this as a note. The note is that when solid objects fall through or move through air, upthrust is generally ignored as it is negligible, and reason for it to be negligible is as it is negligible due to low density of air. Musa, clear?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा मूसा, अब हमने प्रैक्टिस क्या करनी है? We have to take some objects moving in liquids or fluids and we have to identify forces on them, their directions, and equation for acceleration. For example, if the object is moving, then we have to practice of writing equation for acceleration. Now you should write a question. On the following objects, label the forces and write an equation of upthrust. Write an equation of acceleration. So Musa, the question is that they will give you some objects and you have to identify and label the forces on the object, and then you have to write the equation for the acceleration. The first case is they have given you a container of liquid. This is a container of liquid. So this liquid can be water or some other liquid. A liquid of uniform density. Lalina beta, if the liquid has a uniform density or non-uniform density, how will the density of liquid affect weight, upthrust and viscous drag? चलें आपसे मैं स्पेसिफिकली पूछ लेता हूं, डेंसिटी ऑफ लिक्विड अपथ्रस्ट को कैसे अफेक्ट करेगी? हाउ इज अपथ्रस्ट अफेक्टेड ड्यू टू द डेंसिटी ऑफ द लिक्विड?
The speed?
नहीं, सिर्फ अपथ्रस्ट पे इफेक्ट बताएं. डेंसिटी यूनिफॉर्म या नॉन यूनिफॉर्म होने से अपथ्रस्ट कैसे इफेक्ट होगा?
I'm not sure.
मूसा, डेंसिटी ऑफ लिक्विड अपथ्रस्ट को कैसे इफेक्ट करेगी? हाउ इज अपथ्रस्ट अफेक्टेड बाय डेंसिटी ऑफ लिक्विड?
No.
They have a direct proportion.
Sir, increase in density increases upwards.
Yes, they have a direct
No,
proportion.
direct
Alina beta,
proportion.
in the equation, upthrust and density of liquid have a direct proportion. So the density of liquid and upthrust will change in direct proportion. If density of liquid is non-uniform, then the upthrust will become variable. So basically, if a liquid has a uniform density, then upthrust will be same everywhere. Acha, now this is the object. Now this is the object, and they have given a situation when the object is moving upwards. Now, Rian Gul, what do you think? How many forces are there on the object? Rian beta, how many forces are there? Abdul Had, हाँ Rian बताओ. Rian, quickly यार.
2.
No, Ryan, there are three forces. There are three: weight, upthrust, and viscous drag. Ryan, weight will be vertically downwards or upwards?
Downwards.
Downwards. So weight is vertically downwards. This is weight. Acha, Elizabeth, what do you think? The viscous drag is upwards or downwards?
Downwards.
Downwards. Viscous drag is downwards. Ryan, why is it downwards? VD for viscous drag. Acha, generally viscous drag can be written as D. D भी लिख सकते हैं. Ryan, why is viscous drag downwards, beta? Ryan Gul, viscous drag downwards क्यों है बेटा?
Not sure, sir.
Elizabeth, why is viscous drag downwards?
Because motion is upwards.
Very good. Because viscous drag is opposite to the motion. So, in whatever direction the motion is, viscous drag will be opposite to that. If it is moving upwards, then viscous drag will be downwards. Now, Musa, what is the third force? Quickly.
Upthrust.
Upthrust. So, the third force is upthrust. Upthrust can be represented by U. So, U is the upthrust. Now, if they ask you, okay, the object is accelerating, write an equation for acceleration. The object can be accelerating or the object can be decelerating. However, the examiner will tell you. Now, if the object is accelerating and they ask you to write an equation of acceleration or resultant force, I will start with resultant force. मूसा रिजल्टेंट फोर्स की जो इक्वेशन है उसका रूल होगा कि रिजल्टेंट फोर्स इज बेटा वेन एवर दे विल आस्क रिजल्टेंट फोर्स रियान जब भी वो कहेंगे ना रिजल्टेंट फोर्स तो यू विल राइट इट लाइक दिस रिजल्टेंट फोर्स इज फॉरवर्ड फोर्स माइनस बैकवर्ड फोर्स रिजल्टेंट फोर्स इज forward force is the force in the direction of motion. Force in the direction, force or forces in the direction of motion. Basically, sum of forces in the direction of motion minus forces opposite to the motion. Forces opposite to the motion. Lalina beta, whenever you have to write an equation for the resultant force, what is the rule? The forces which are in the direction of motion should be positive and the forces which are against the motion should be negative. Musa, for this specific situation, can you tell the equation of resultant force in terms of upthrust, drag and weight?
Upthrust minus the sum of drag and weight.
हाँ, तो resultant force is equal to upthrust. Upthrust is in the direction of motion and weight plus viscous drag is against the motion. Ryan Gul, do you understand this? Ryan, आइए समझ.
जी जी जी.
तो क्या रूल बन गया कि जो मोशन की डायरेक्शन में होगी दैट विल बी पॉजिटिव और जो मोशन के अगेंस्ट होगी दैट विल बी नेगेटिव. मिस तहजीब, ये कोई बच्चा एडमिट हो रहा है तो इनको आपने रिमूव किया, ये खुद से रिमूव हो गया था. सो रियान, क्या होगा? द फोर्स इन द डायरेक्शन ऑफ मोशन शुड बी पॉजिटिव एंड द फोर्स अगेंस्ट द मोशन शुड बी नेगेटिव. मूसा, अब एक्सलेरेशन की इक्वेशन लिखनी है. क्या इक्वेशन होगी? एक्सलेरेशन इज रिजल्टेंट फोर्स ओवर
Mass.
हाँ, acceleration A is resultant force over mass, so it will be upthrust minus mg plus d divided by m. Divided by Musa? M. Acha, if the object is accelerating, then what will happen to upthrust, weight, and drag force? Upthrust will be constant, weight will be constant, drag force will increase. Ryan Gul, can you tell why? For example, if the object is accelerating, the drag force will go on to increase. Why? Because drag force depends on the speed. If the object is accelerating, drag force will increase. If the object is decelerating, drag force will decrease. So drag force will depend on whether it is accelerating or it is decelerating. ठीक है? अच्छा, अब ये जी equations हो गई. और one thing, you should write situation. ये एक टेबल बना लो. Situation, उसके बाद variation of weight, उसके बाद वेरिएशन. सो हम देख रहे हैं कि इनमें से कोई फोर्स चेंज होगी या नहीं होगी. वेरिएशन ऑफ अपथ्रस्ट, एंड देन यू हैव वेरिएशन ऑफ drag force. Ryan, you have to tell the answers of these rows. The first one is the object is moving with constant speed. The object is moving upwards or downwards but with constant speed. The object is moving with constant speed. So Ryan Gul, weight will be constant or variable?
Constant.
Weight will be constant. What about upthrust?
Constant.
Constant provided that. Provided that के आगे लालीना बेटा क्या लिखना है? Upthrust will be constant provided that.
Provided that the speed is constant.
No. Upthrust is independent of the speed. हाँ मूसा, upthrust will be constant provided that. बेटा इक्वेशन देखो ना upthrust की. रियान, upthrust की इक्वेशन देख के बताएंगे. Upthrust will be constant provided that the density of the liquid and the volume of the object are constant. ठीक है? Upthrust will be constant provided that the equation के जो variables हैं upthrust के, they are constant. रियान गुल, upthrust will be constant if, लिखवाओ.
Density and volume are constant.
हाँ, और ये कहाँ से पता चल रहा है डेंसिटी और वॉल्यूम? फ्रॉम द इक्वेशन फॉर अपथ्रस्ट. सो अपथ्रस्ट विल बी कांस्टेंट इफ डेंसिटी ऑफ लिक्विड एंड वॉल्यूम ऑफ ऑब्जेक्ट आर कांस्टेंट. And viscous drag will be constant because it depends on the speed. If the speed is constant, then viscous drag will be constant. Rayan, तुम्हारा इस रो से related कोई question है? You want to ask something?
No.
Anyone? Any other student? Aliza beta? Lalina beta? मूसा? अच्छा, और मुझे एक चीज पता है, बच्चे क्वेश्चन इसलिए नहीं पूछ रहे कि इफ वी आस्क क्वेश्चंस फिर सर हमसे पूछेंगे. बेटा कोई बात नहीं, आप लोग पूछो क्वेश्चन, मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछूंगा. अच्छा, नंबर 2, द ऑब्जेक्ट इज एक्सेलरेटिंग. Musa, if the object is accelerating means speed is increasing. हाँ Musa, if the object is accelerating, then weight will be constant or variable?
Constant.
Weight will be constant. What do you think about upthrust?
Constant.
Upthrust will be constant, and provided that volume and density is constant. Acha, what about drag force? Lalina beta, you have to tell. If the object is accelerating, what is happening to the drag force?
The drag force will also increase.
Will be increasing. Also क्यों कहा है बेटा? बाकी दोनों तो constant हैं. Drag force हम कहेंगे.
I was comparing it to the object's acceleration.
Okay. So the drag force will increase. The drag force will increase as the speed is increasing. Drag force depends on the speed. Ryan Gul, आ गई समझ? अच्छा, Number third is object is decelerating. Object is decelerating. For deceleration or slowing down, Lalina beta fill करें. What about weight? What about upthrust? And what about drag force? Quickly.
Weight and upthrust are constant, and drag force will decrease.
Very good, beta. Weight constant, upthrust constant, and Musa drag force is decreasing. Why?
Speed is decreasing.
Yes, decreasing as speed decreasing. So the question is about writing an equation of resultant force. First of all, labeling forces, then writing an equation of resultant force and equation of acceleration for the given situation. We are done with the first situation. Now you should write second situation. Now you should write second situation. You have this liquid, and in this liquid, the object was fully immersed and it was still. The object was fully immersed and the object was still. It was not moving. Now, Ryan, if the object is still, how many forces are there on the object? Ryan, quickly, yaar. Lalina, beta, if the object is still, how many forces are there, beta? Musa, if the object is still, how many forces are there?
Two forces.
Two forces. Now viscous drag will be zero. So you should write when the object becomes still, the viscous drag becomes zero because viscous drag is there if the motion is there. Viscous drag depends on the motion or the speed. If there is no motion or speed, then viscous drag will not be there. So you should write viscous drag in this situation will be 0 Newton since when the object is still, viscous drag becomes 0. Now, beta, we have two forces. Now we have two forces. And those two forces are Acha bacho. So we have two forces now. One of them is the weight that is downwards. The other force is upthrust that is upwards. And these two forces will be equal now. Lalina beta, can you tell why are they equal? Because the object was at rest. Acha Musa, there are two possibilities. If the object is at permanent rest, then they are equal. There is another possibility. The object was initially at rest and it started to move. This possibility is also there. So if the object was initially at rest and it started to move, then upthrust and weight may not be equal. So when the object is still, then this rest could be permanent or this rest could be instantaneous. So we're assuming that it was at rest. It was at rest permanently. Otherwise, they can be different. So the object was at rest permanently. If the object was at rest permanently, then these two forces will be equal. Now the third and last situation. What if the object was moving downwards? Musa, this was a liquid. And in this liquid, the object was moving downwards. Ryan Gul, इसका आपने खुद करना है. You have to do it by yourself. First of all, the first thing is list. In fact, list की जगह you should write represent. Represent forces on the object. Number 2, write equation of resultant force. Write equation of resultant force, and then write equation of acceleration or deceleration. Now, Ryan Gul, how many forces are there and what are their directions? Forces and their directions, beta. Ryan Gul,
3 forces.
3 forces. Name them.
Weight, drag, or
Weight and
weight, viscous drag, or
weight, viscous drag, and the third one is?
सर भूल गया तीसरा.
भूल गया. मूसा, तुम बताओ. Musa, quickly.
Upthrust.
Upthrust.
Yeah.
Upthrust and?
Is there 3 forces on the object? Which
The 3 forces on the object.
weight, viscous drag, upthrust.
Upthrust. Acha. Which of the 3 forces is downwards?
Weight.
Weight is downwards. Musa, upwards.
Upthrust and viscous drag.
Upthrust upwards. And why is viscous drag upwards?
Because motion is downwards.
Because the motion is downwards. So that is opposite to the motion. Aliza, beta, aa gayi samajh?
जी सर.
Okay. Now, Lalina, beta, what will be the equation for resultant force? We take the force in the direction of motion positive and we take the forces against the motion negative. So, mg will be taken to be positive. Upthrust and drag force will be taken to be negative. Acha, Lalina, beta, you have to tell. Symbol U represents what? Symbol U is representing
It's upthrust.
upthrust. Symbol D is representing
Viscous drag.
viscous drag. Now, if we write an equation for resultant force, it will be, हाँ बेटा बताएं, लालिना बेटा. Resultant force
mg minus d plus u.
U. Why are you taking mg to be positive? Is it always positive or there is some rule?
You said that it's in the direction of motion, so
Yes.
anything in the direction of motion is
हाँ,
positive.
रेहान, जब हम equation लिखेंगे ना resultant force की, the force that is in the direction of motion should be positive and the forces which are against the motion, they should be negative. रेहान, equation बताओ resultant force की quickly. It is, रेहान, quickly यार. रेहान,
mg minus d plus u.
mg minus d plus u. D is the drag force and u is the upthrust. अच्छा, now Ryan, what will be the equation for acceleration or deceleration? लिखवाओ जरा जल्दी. Ryan, जल्दी.
mg minus d plus u over mass.
mg minus d plus u over mass. Acha Musa, now we will solve a numerical example related to this and then we are done with this topic. The next topic will be dynamics. We'll start that topic tomorrow onwards. Tomorrow we'll start new topic. That new topic is dynamics. Generally you call that forces. Forces or dynamics. वो हम कल start करेंगे. अच्छा, an example related to this concept. The example is a ball. A ball is falling downwards. A ball is falling downwards with a ball is falling downwards and at the given instant the, ball has a deceleration. The ball has a deceleration of 2 meter per second square. Mass of the ball is 500 grams. Viscous drag on the ball is 2.8 newtons. First part of the question. This is the ball and this is figure 1. Figure 1 shows the ball at the given instant. Figure 1 shows the ball at the given instant. The first part of this question is represent forces on the ball. So, Lalina beta, how many forces are there on the ball?
3 forces.
3 forces, and they are?
Upthrust, viscous drag, and weight.
And you should tell the direction as well. For example, you should say upthrust in that direction. Upthrust?
Upthrust and viscous drag are in the upwards direction and weight is downwards.
Okay, weight is downwards and weight is always downwards. Upthrust is upwards and upthrust is always upwards. Lalina beta, how do you know that the viscous drag will be upwards
It's opposite to the motion.
to the motion? And they said the ball is falling downwards. So since the ball is falling downwards, so the motion of the ball is downwards. That's why the viscous drag is upwards. Okay, beta, can you tell what is the value of weight? Lalina beta, what is the value of weight? It will be 500 gram is 0.5 kg, na? Hey?
Yeah.
So weight will be 0.5 into 9.8.
4.905.
GG. So 0.5 into 9.81. Drag force is given or it's not given? It's given, I think. 2.8
2.8.
Newton. And upthrust is not given, hai na? Upthrust is not given. So the first part was about representing the forces. Second part. Find magnitude of the upthrust. Beta, find magnitude of the upthrust. You have to find the magnitude of the upthrust. हाँ बेटा, Lalina beta, find the magnitude of upthrust. What is the method? We will write equation for deceleration. है ना? So Musa, deceleration will be taken to be a positive number or a negative number? Musa, quickly. Musa, deceleration will be taken as a positive number or a negative number?
So negative.
Negative number. Acha, examiner will never give you a negative sign like in O level. Examiner will say deceleration and you will take the negative sign. Now you will say A is equal to negative 2 meter per second square. Why negative? Because it's deceleration. Then you will write equation of resultant force. Lalina beta, can you tell the equation of resultant force in terms of symbols or variables?
The resultant force would be mg minus d plus u divided by m.
No, only resultant force. You are telling the equation
No,
for
only resultant, okay. No, mg minus d plus u.
mg positive because in the direction of motion, mg positive because in the direction of motion. Since motion is downwards, so mg positive and these two forces negative. Now to find upthrust, we'll apply equation for acceleration or deceleration. We'll say A is equal to mg minus upthrust plus drag force. This is the resultant force, and we'll divide it by m. किसी बच्चे को कोई कंफ्यूजन हो तो यू मे आस्क. गोल तुम्हें आ गई समझ? पक्का ना? अच्छा, अब इसमें वैल्यूज पुट करते हैं. गोल, a should be substituted as a positive number or a negative number? गोल जल्दी यार.
Negative.
Negative number, because it's deceleration. 0.5, 9.81 minus upthrust to be calculated, drag force 2.8 Newton, and mass is 0.5 kg. We will solve this equation for upthrust. लालीना बेटा confusing तो नहीं हुआ ना? मूसा confusing हुआ है या नहीं हुआ? आ गई ये समझना? अच्छा, now we'll solve it. Negative 2 into 0.5 is equal to 0.5 into 9.81 minus u minus 2.8. We will make u as a subject, so it will become u is equal to 0.5 into 9.81 minus 2.8 plus 2 into 0.5. So upthrust will become, Lanina beta, what is the answer?
I got 3.105.
3.105 Newton. Okay, bachcho, we are done with pressure and upthrust. Now the next topic we'll be doing is dynamics. We'll start dynamics tomorrow onwards. Dynamics is basically जिसको आप forces कहते हैं, वो हम कल कंटिन्यू करेंगे. एंड डायनामिक्स में क्या होता है? डायनामिक्स में होता है न्यूटन्स लॉज, मोमेंटम, कोलिजन्स एंड ऑल दैट. वी आर स्टार्टिंग दैट टुमारो. मैं उसका सिलेबस आपके ग्रुप में भेज दूंगा. अब जो भी हम चैप्टर स्टार्ट करेंगे उसका जो सिलेबस है वो मैं ग्रुप में भेज दिया करूंगा. फिर आप चेक लिस्ट करते जाएंगे ना कि वी आर डन विद दैट 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 एंड ऑल दैट. तो नेक्स्ट चैप्टर का सिलेबस मैं आज ही ग्रुप में भेज दूंगा. टेक केयर बच्चों, खुदा हाफिज. प्रेशर की वर्कशीट्स आपको वेडनेसडे को मिल जाएंगी, और कल आपका मोमेंट और इक्विलिब्रियम का टेस्ट है. आई थिंक यू नो दैट. टेस्ट में प्रिंट करा चुका हूं, कल होगा. टेक केयर बच्चों, खुदा हाफिज.